are so glad you are here. Sit back and let's get started.
Hello, friends. It's Danny here, and I'm here today for Pajama Crafter Stamps. So let's dive right in and see what our project is going to be today. Today, I want to help you embrace white space. I know for me, I love all the pattern paper, and a lot of times I use tons of it on my cards, but sometimes less is more, and I am learning to embrace that white space. So let me show you the products that I used today. We're going to use the Girl's Best Friend Rhinestone Mix. Such pretty sparkly rhinestones. Going to be using the UR stamp set. This is a fabulous stamp set. We're going to be using the circle element here, and it has UR and then all these fabulous words and where they came from in the Bible, which is awesome, what verses they are. Hope to use this stamp set a lot more. I also used the Lovely Bouquet stamp set just for this little flower and the leaf here. But I cannot wait to color up that main big focal floral image. I also am bringing in the Circle Peekaboo die. Even though we're embracing the white space, that doesn't mean that we can't elevate it a little bit with some dies and layers and whatnot. I did use just a touch of pattern paper from the Spring Plaids, and you'll see in a minute what I mean by just a touch. And then I used the Marshmallow coloring paper. I buy the 8.5 by 11 size, but then I cut them down and have them ready to go when I need them. So I do have everything all ready to go. Let's get started here. I'm going to pull everything over. My memory is not the greatest, so I have sticky notes telling us all the dimensions, but I will also leave them in the description box below. For me, I always like to kind of lay out like a rough draft of what my card is going to look like, and that's kind of what I did here, and you can kind of see that. Let's begin by scoring our base, which is just a regular A2 base. It's 4.25 by 11 inches. Anytime I give a measurement, just know it's in inches. I may not always say that. So you're going to turn it on the long side, and you're just going to score at 5.5. I like top folding card bases. If you like the other kind, by all means, you do what works for you. Just going to burnish that there. Okay. Then we have our top folding base out of that marshmallow coloring paper. I like to decorate the insides of all my cards, even on white bases. I just think it adds a little bit more of a finished look. And I always start with the inside, just the pattern that I'm in. So the inside piece I have at 3 3/4 inches by 5. And then I think this strip is just like a 1/2 inch long by, 4 and a little bit extra there. It doesn't go up there. So I know you won't be able to necessarily see it, but like I said, I think that it just kind of finishes off the card. It kind of ties it all together and just makes it look just a little bit more professional, I guess. I also am a weirdo, and I like to use both like liquid glue and like ATG tape just to make sure that everything stays put. So we're just going to do that. All right. I'm kind of OCD. I like things to be lined up. They don't always end up that way, but I try. Especially white on white. But there's that. Since this strip is so small, we're going to still do both. I've had cards in the past that have fallen apart when they made it to the recipient, and that just breaks my heart. I want them to last as long as they can, so that's why I started doing both the liquid and the ATG. Kind of overkill, I know, and you don't have to. Like I said, it's just what I do. All right, now we're getting to the front here. I think before we do that, though, I do have some of those little buds and leaves from that lovely bouquet stamp set that I want to color up. I left them white just so I could see if I had enough and the placement and whatnot. I already fussy cut them out. You could use a Scan-A-Cut, you can fussy cut, you can do you. You do you. We're just going to do some very basic, simple Copic coloring today. I've been coloring with Copics for years and years and years and years. I got so bummed out in the past trying to realize where the shadows were, this and that and the other. So now I just kind of color my way. There's no rhyme and reason, just the way it is. So there's that, but I'm so much happier when I color, and coloring is my happy place. So I do what works best for me. I'm using my favorite pink combo. Let's see if my camera, there we go. R85, R83, and R81. Again, these are Copic markers. I start with the darkest. Hasn't always been that way, but I'm finding that that's what works for me. And I'm just gonna add some dark places. I'm gonna take off both caps because it looks like it's a little juicy and I don't want it to glob. I do have an extra flower and leaf stamped out in case there was like a glob or anything. Again, I'm just kind of placing it wherever I see fit. I don't worry about shadows and stuff. And if you want to worry about it, that's what you need to do. Like I said, this is just what makes me happy. These are probably not going to be identical, and I'm okay with that. They're going to be on different parts of the card. And honestly, a lot of it is going to be covered up by the UR sentiment circle. So we got that darkest color. Now we're going to go in with the R83. And I'm just going to add just a little bit more color, kind of come out from those darker places, kind of blending it just a little bit. And softening up those lines. We don't want this pretty flower to have harsh lines, but we do want some definition. So I'm doing the same thing on this one. And again, this is just very simple Copic coloring. And then I'm just going to blend it all out with R81, the lightest color. Because normally I do really, really bright, bold colors. But for this card, since we're embracing that white space, I wanted it to be just a touch more like soft, I guess, and delicate. It's still colorful, but not as colorful as I usually do. All right, do that on this one. Again, I'm just going over all those lines, softening them out. They are lightening up a little bit, and I'm okay with that. If you didn't want it to lighten up, you would just kind of pull it from the color that's already there. Okay, so there is our two flowers from that lovely bouquet colored up with our pinks. That was R85, R83, and R81. Now we're just going to do the leaves. I'm going to use one of my favorite green combos. Guess it was all about the favorites today. Get those where they are readable maybe. And it's YG17, YG13, and YG11. Doing the same thing. We're just going to get in color down. Doesn't have to be perfect or exact. And I didn't fussy cut the little stem probably as well as I would have on other projects because it's going to be hidden. And it's like, why do extra work and worry about it if it's not even going to be seen? So just getting some colors down. That was YG17. Now we're moving on to YG13. And I'm just going out from that darkest line. I am kind of going over the edges so that they won't show up as much because they'll be against white, but that way they're just a little bit more colored, I guess you could say. Cohesive. Words are hard. All right, got that. And then we'll go over with our lightest color, Again, I'm just going to go over the whole thing, not really caring if it lightens it up or not. This is just to add just a touch of color, like a pop of color to our white, well, our card. It's not all white, but embracing a lot more of that white space than I normally do. I like doing the cards that embrace the white space because it really makes your images pop and like stand out. So there's our leaves. And then I am going to take this sentiment, which I put on an approximately like 3 1/4 inch circled from a die from my stash. And I really want to emphasize this word, these words, you are. So I stamped it in a alcohol marker friendly ink, and I'm going to use BG11, and I'm just going to go over very softly the U and the R. That way your eye will go right to that and you will see what the card is like really all about. So you are is highlighted there. All right, we got all the coloring done. So let's go ahead and bring in the rest of the card and get it put together. So like I said, I do have some of that spring plaid, and I cut it 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I actually am going to pop this up on some foam dimensional tape. Just because it's going to be a card embracing the white space doesn't mean you can't make it fun and have dimension and layers and all the things. So I'm just going to put some foam dimensional tape down. And I like a lot of tape on my cards, so bear with me while I get this all ready here. I don't like it to sag, so I'm actually probably going to go back in. I meant to grab out my thicker tape, but I guess I did not. How about you? Do you like to add dimension to your card? Do you use foam tape very often? It's a great way to just add a little something something to your card without a lot of fuss. And I know sometimes the dimension doesn't go through the mail as well, but I found I just send it in, I think that actually will be good, in padded envelopes, or I hand delivered the cards that are really dimensional. All right, peel off those release papers. And I'm not feeling very good today about getting it laid down exactly right the first time. So I'm going to add some liquid glue so that I have a little bit of wiggle time, just in case I don't get it lined up exactly like I like it on the first try, especially since it's just like 1/8 of an inch off. So as it moves around, there we go. It's a little crooked, but not bad. I'm going to bring in my little froggy press tool. I just love this thing. He's so cute, and he makes me so happy when I am crafting. So again, it's not perfect. I guess it's over a little bit, but not much. I don't think anyone but me would know. So next, I have a piece of white paper, of that white marshmallow coloring cardstock, and I have it cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And we're going to give it just a little something something by scoring at the bottom at, let's see, 1/4 and 1/2 inch. This will just give this layer, even though it's all white, just a little something something. Can't do it that way. Does anyone else just have to have things a certain way before they can do it? So there's a 1/4, and there's a, well, maybe a 1/2 if I get my fingers out of the way, and a 1/2. There we go. I don't know that it'll show up on camera very well, but it just gives just a little something to make some interest, I guess you could say. I am going to glue this layer flat to the cardstock. Again, I'm going to use both dry adhesive and wet adhesive. right. And maybe not as much liquid adhesive because I must have a clog. That's okay. That's okay. All right, and I'm going to put those score lines that we just did towards the bottom. All right. Now I'm going to add this layer here, which is that peekaboo circle die. Did I say that right? Now I have to look. Circle peekaboo die. I was close. I was so close. And I am going to glue, maybe I'm not. Am I going to glue it flat? No. I'm going to glue it flat, so I'm going to stop the camera for a minute, unclog my glue gun, and I'll be right back. I think I have it unclogged. So I'm just going to go around the edges of this, get some of that liquid glue on there, and then I'm just going to go around the circle inside there, maybe a few here and there. And then what I do, since I did get some globs, I have my glue helper sheet, which is just a piece of spare cardstock that I just tap it on. It's not taking off all the glue, but it just helps get off some of those globs. And then I just set that aside and I reuse it. All right, we're gonna glue that down right about there. Gonna bring in my little froggy press and glue that down good. Okay, next we're going to pop up this sentiment layer on some foam tape so it has a little bit of dimension. Who else is just like, oh my goodness, that's so much white space? It's okay. I promise, it's okay. I know I have lots of friends that just can't stand to have any like white space on their card, but we need to learn to embrace it. It has its purpose. I really like how it makes everything just pop. And it feels so, I don't know, almost elegant, I guess, maybe. All right, I'm just gonna get those release papers off there. Maybe. And gonna put that down. And then we're gonna stick these underneath. So I want a flower at each side, kind of like that, and a leaf at each side. I'm going to put it right there and right there. All right, and then I'm going to grab my tweezers. I'm going to add the leaf first. Got kind of globby there, so I'm going to bring in that piece of paper again, just tap it off. And I'm just going to stick it under there, right about there where I wanted it. Still got a glob, just going to wipe that off. Then I'm going to add some glue to my flower. Perfect. Tap it off and slide it under there to where I want it. I think right there looks nice. Do the same process up here. Tap it off. And let's see, I had it on this side. I'm going to turn the card over so I can get it. Yeah, right about there. Going to add that flower next, and then we're almost done. Just have to add some bling, and then our card is done. All right, I think I kind of got it a little bit crooked there. Slide it under there. That's the nice thing about having that foam tape, the dimension, and there we go. All right, next up is the bling. I have my little embellishment tray that I just got from Pajama Crafter Stamps. I love the design of it. And again, we're using the Girl's Best Friend rhinestones. And I'm thinking I just want 3 little rhinestones. Oh, they're like going everywhere. And I'm going to put them right under there. So I'm going to pick out the 3 that I want here, kind of lay them down, make sure that that's exactly, that I know that they kind of blend in, but in the right light, they are going to really kind of sparkle and shine. All right, there we go. Move that out of the way so that I don't bump it over and spill it everywhere. All right. So I like how that's going to look. I'm just going to scoot them down just a touch. Going to come in with my glue and put a dot of glue where I want to put them. I'm going to let it set for just a second, and then I'm going to use my wand just to put it there. The glue does dry clear, so you won't see it once that it is all dry. And there is our very pretty card, embracing that white space. Still has dimension, still has some texture with that scoring and the die cut. Has little pops of color, draws your eye in for the UR since we highlighted that word. And then on the inside, it just carries it through with that strip of paper. Thank you so much for joining me today to create this card embracing white space. I hope that you will take the time to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We always welcome, we don't want you to miss out on anything. Words are so hard. Also, if you create anything, come on over to the Pajama Crafter Facebook group and share with us. We'd always like to see those. We want to be inspired by you as well. At the end screen, I will pop a link in there, but check out Shiloh's simple stamp masking video. It is amazing. I tell you, this design team is rocking it. Some of these tutorials, I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. Wow. So I will pop that on the end screen, and until the next video on the channel, go do something for yourself and go get crafty. Bye now.